Hi guys, my name is Shannon. I'm here to present my final presentation. I did my presentation on the escalation cycle and some de-escalation and interventions you can do for each of the levels found in the cycle. Some of the levels are like calm and trigger and agitation, acceleration, peak, student de-escalation, and recovery. I began identifying some physiological signs of escalation. Like you can see a student when they're just reaching that build up to crisis. They might be clenching their fists, their faces might turn red or white. They may be shaking. They could be just like grinding their jaw. Obviously, the verbal assaults start coming out. It's just good to see the small signs that might be leading to a trigger so we can help maybe bring them back before they do reach a crisis. I went over all the triggers for each of the levels of escalation, and I follow with an appropriate intervention for all those levels. We have to remember there's no dignity in allowing us to hurt themselves or to hurt staff or other students, right? We have to make sure that we're there for them at every level because staff safety and student safety are the most important. We want to protect them from all physical and emotional consequences of their anger, right, towards the staff and the students. So we have to make sure everybody's protected. Escalation follows a predictable pattern at all the levels, and they each have their own characteristics, and there are always opportunities to intervene at each of the levels. The biggest key is to know how to communicate with the student. If a student is in crisis, you have to remember that 93% of communication is nonverbal. So if you are standing there closed off or you look visibly angry, you're not really helping yourself or the student in the situation. We have to be an active participant in this cycle, and we have to focus on the escalation so we can try to de-escalate it based on our actions. We have to remove ourselves from that conflict cycle. They're going to try to drag us in. They want us to yell back at them and to get frustrated. And that's the last thing we have to do. When we find a student is reaching a peak or an outburst, there's no communicating with them. There's no longer in control of their actions. They have reached that point where they're just black into the world and rage has just filled them. We just want to create the safest environment if that does happen to prevent any injuries and to obviously never physically restrain a child unless it has to be happen. You have the proper training, and we follow all the guidelines that we know that are in place. If you find yourself, in that position and you're really emotionally frustrated, you have to tag yourself out. You have to find somebody else if you're too emotional. Somebody else can handle the situation and bring it back down to calm, the recovery of that crisis. Our students always need us to be that stable person that they're very used to and they see every day, and we're always there helping them. And so there's no shame in leaving a situation if you feel like you can't control it, emotionally. It's okay. I've tagged myself out plenty of times in situations because I didn't want it to become worse. We're a team, and we all have to depend on our coworkers and each other to get us through all these situations. We have to help our students get better, at handling their anger and just getting them through this. Obviously, if a student goes through crises, they're at the outburst level. They are just destroying the classroom. They're breaking things and flipping desks and chairs. The last thing you want to say to them is, good job, look what you did now. We don't want to push buttons. We don't want to re-escalate them. We want to always bring our kids back down to calm. We don't want them to just feel like they're terrible. Because after this happens, they feel bad and they feel guilty and they're embarrassed. We don't want that to happen. We want to be able just to move on from the situation. Not saying to pretend it didn't happen. I'm saying we have to move on. We could sit at our desk and be like, I see that you are very obviously upset and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to grade some papers and you can get yourself together. And when you're ready, I can help you clean up, you know. And then we can introduce maybe a little bit of work that's very easy just to kind of bring their focus back down to the classroom level. We just want them to be calm, right? And to be calm, we have to be calm. We have to look like we care. We have to be a stable figure. And we just want to make sure our kids don't reach that outburst, that peak cycle. It's hard on everybody, you know, and if it happens, we have to make sure to take care of ourselves and take care of our students. We need to sit back and reflect on the situation too. We have to make sure that we understood what happened, what we could do differently. We have to like write all the data in and like record it. It's important. It's important that we learn, like, oh, what could I have done differently in this situation? Plenty of times I've sat back and just been very frustrated with myself for feeding into some of their angers. Like each year that's gone by, this is my 5th year in a behavior room. I have learned a lot. Like this year has been a really successful real year in our classroom. We've all taken this approach of just being calm and collected and just making sure to notice each of those signs that we see, the triggers, and maybe try to bring them back. Like I have learned that it's okay just to give them a break. And we can't force them to do something they don't want to do. They have to want to do. You know, we just have to figure out what's in their way that's stopping them from wanting to do it. And that's the hardest part, right? So I hope this is helpful. And thank goodness this is the end of the year. And good luck with all your classes in the future, guys. Bye.